Hey guys, you are listening to episode 14 of the Creative Talk podcast. And today we discuss if phones and AIs are taking over.
All right, so how do we, because we've both done weddings before, how do we feel about phones at weddings?
Don't like them.
Yeah, I hate it so much.
Phones as in like people there using their phones in front of you and you're trying to take photos or video.
Yeah, even like, for instance, like the last wedding that I did, it was for one of my ex-coworkers I worked with at Community, and they, even though she told everybody, there was only like a handful, like maybe 15 people there, but even though she told everybody, like, you know, he's the one taking the photos, and I don't want anybody else, you know, having photos being out in the aisleway. And they're definitely still, there was a couple of people in the shot, even though I was just doing photos, but I'm just like,
there's always that one or two people that just don't listen. So have you ever had an iPad? You ever had someone hold an iPad out?
No,
I
not
think I
that
told
bad.
you a story, but yeah, I had literally someone in the aisle holding out an iPad, like down the aisle in front of us, like a whole iPad. And later they were on the dance floor during like the first dance and had the iPad out, just like this massive screen that's, I don't know. That's annoying.
And honestly, I feel like Apple, they don't like, it's not the best like photo video quality inside the iPads as it is in the phone. So it's like whenever somebody does that, I'm just like,
yeah, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't know. Like I feel like tablets and are tablets even a thing anymore? But yeah, the iPads iPads are a tablet. I didn't know Samsung's still making them, but yeah. But yeah, they always seem like they're literally the bare minimum lens. It's like the scrap lenses stuff. I feel I don't know. Feels like.
Yeah, definitely.
Like poor quality. But yeah. That's the only time I've ever seen the iPad, though. But it just cracked me up because I was like, really? Just this massive... It looked like they were literally holding just a big thing to block our... But yeah, block one of our shots down the aisle and during the dance. The first dance, literally stepping out in our way. It just looked ridiculous anyway.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think people realize how, like you said, how ridiculous they look, even if it's just, you know, because people pay us, like, good money to do this. And it's just like, I understand you want the memories, but look, it's not your wedding.
Yeah. Like, which I get taking photos. I think there's a respectful way to do it. But when you're leaning out in the aisle and stuff, when you're like, I can't tell you how many times I've been walking, like, especially doing video where I got to go like from one place to another. And I'm like, you know, power walking and somebody like pops out in front of me, or I'm like trying to squeeze around them when it's like, cause they're trying to frame up their photo. It's like, oh my gosh, like I'm being paid here for this. They paid me to do this. And yeah.
Well, not only with weddings, but just in general, like phones have gotten so good with photo and video that everybody thinks they're a photographer or videographer.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like a problem. Like I don't want to say this because it's cool knowing that something so small and the size of the sensors that are in the phones that are so small, but yet can produce, you know, you can, like for iPhones, like you can print out, I honestly don't remember the dimensions, but like you can print out a decent size picture off of a phone.
Yeah, I mean, my new Pixel 6 I'll talk a little bit more about, but I mean, it's a the main camera on it is a 50 megapixel camera. So it's like, it's a massive print you can get. I don't remember the exact dimensions on it. But yeah, it's crazy what you can get out of a phone now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the sensor size, I mean, they're never going to match up to...
Oh, yeah. No, because I think it's 1 inch... Well, it's not even a 1 inch.
I don't even think it's 1 inch.
Yeah.
No, what's that new Sony phone? The X... Oh my gosh, what's it called? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know which one. Yeah.
That's blown. The Sony released a new phone that's like the RX. It's like their RX series in a phone. But that's a 1 inch sensor in a phone.
Right.
And I don't know if that's the first, but the 1 inch is probably like bare minimum to even consider, like, I think, a professional photo camera in a phone. But to your point about people thinking they're photographers, right. I just recently been asked to do some photos for somebody. It was a group, and we sent the proposal, and they were trying to justify our price, and then they said somebody else would do it for like significantly cheaper, like almost nothing, which makes me think they don't take themselves serious or their business serious.
Yeah, exactly.
But then someone had suggested just shooting on their new iPhone they had, and it was like literally comparing the quality of what we do,
Mm-hmm.
you know, photography is a big part of what we do too. It's not like only what we do, but showing up, setting up things, setting up lights, posing, and taking a photo on the, top of the line cameras and lenses,
Mm-hmm.
and then someone just to be like, why not just do it on a
Right.
one of the shoots we did, we literally had someone say that they would just, why not just shoot it on their phone? Like what? I'd been asked that before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say any names, but they're like literally I've been asked. So what? I can't say this without laughing, but they literally said this was for video specifically, but they were like, so why would I hire you to come in and film this when I can just pull my phone out and film it myself?
Mm-hmm.
Was literally the question I got asked.
Yeah, that's insane. Because I mean, it's one thing like when you mentioned earlier about like a photographer or videographer charging for very less. Like it's one thing when they don't take themselves seriously, but it's like another thing when the company doesn't want to pay for the quality, and it's just like, how serious are you taking your company?
I feel like you just want photos. You're not wanting professional photos taken
Exactly.
at that point. But but some of those things is like, I can't remember exactly how I responded to that, but it's like, how do you respond to that? Like,
Right.
I just want to be like, oh, I literally want to be like, okay, you can do that, and like, why are we talking? Like, if you're considering using your phone, why are you talking to me?
Well, I think that kind of goes back to the whole thing of like, I mean, you guys run Absorb, so it's like when someone asks, or a couple years back when you would tell somebody like what you do, and they're like, wait, what? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like trying to explain that kind of thing too. It's just like
it's hard to explain to a client to like, it's like justifying what you do, and it's kind of like, I don't know, if they don't see the value in like not even what we do,
mm-hmm.
but like the value in a professional photo,
Mm-hmm.
then like I don't think you need to be looking to hire a photographer. Then your phone and phones are great. They're
Right.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
they are
for sure
amazing. I love having my phone for family photos and stuff, and just taking good photos around of
mm-hmm.
just personal memory stuff. Not professionally, but
right. Yeah, and I think most of the time too, if you're wanting to just use a phone, even though it's something that's supposed to be professional, like if you're just doing it on your phone, are you editing it? Are you like what are you doing with that?
That's another thing too. That's when I was to justify my pricing was like, we go into all the editing, the gear we bring, and I never like using like gear as an excuse of why you're charging, but it you can't ignore it.
No,
it's a fact of like what you're bringing, what you're setting up, the setup time.
Yeah.
Are we using the backdrop and like 3-point lighting? Like you're to come and set 3 points, 3 lights. I mean 3. Some I get away with 1 or 2, but I mean that's time and that's stuff that would come and set up when that person with a phone is not gonna just shoot it on their phone. Mm-hmm. But I don't think. Do you think phones are taking away from people doing what we do, like marketing, like social media marketing, creating high quality social media content? Are phones taking that away from people like us who own FX6s and 6Ks?
I don't think so. Just for the simple fact that, like, I mean, putting up a video from iPhone versus like the 6K or your FX6, like there's like no comparison there, like whatsoever.
But that's another thing too, is so phones can look really good when they're not next to these cameras.
Exactly.
So if you see an iPhone video and it looks good, they're great. Actually, iPhones look really amazing.
Right.
But it's like, unless you're pixel peeping, like actually looking at them next to each other, would people even know? I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think it just depends too on like how big are you, like, showing this. Like, are you showing it just on your phone? Or are you showing it like on a big screen?
Yeah.
Or
I've
what are you
seen
doing?
some iPhone footage on TV that look good too.
Yeah.
But here's the one thing: we are just talking about image quality.
Right.
So when people talk about like, can I shoot this on my phone? Yeah, but how's it going to sound?
Exactly.
How's it going to look? Do you even know how to edit? Do you know how to put this thing together? So like, there's so much more than that comes into. You're just talking about the camera. So when a client brings that up, or like they think they have the camera, you have one tool, and for the most part, for people out there who just have a phone, there's nothing wrong with that. You can use it and learn from it. But we're talking about people who just have it, who aren't content creators, who just think they're just as good as someone who has a passion and is trying to do something with it. And then somebody with a phone's like, oh, I can just do it on my phone because that's what I have. And I bought the newest iPhone, so I have the best video. That's what I'm talking about with those.
Mm-hmm.
And that does aggravate me. But I think it's actually bringing awareness to people like us. I think so.
Yeah.
I think like people are realizing quality does matter, content does matter, and they're trying to do it on their phone. And I think if they really try and see what they put out, they're going to see it's not that great, and then they look to professionals.
Yeah, because I mean, like backtracking a little bit, like what you said about audio, like I feel like people that are doing video, like for even a company, like that's the last thing they think about.
Mm-hmm.
But like I know we've talked about before, like how's that saying go? Where it's just like good audio can make a bad picture look decent, but bad audio,
Yeah,
like it won't make up
bad
for
audio
that.
can, you can have the best looking image, but if you have bad audio,
Nobody will watch
it'll take
wants
you
to watch
out.
it.
Yeah, it takes you way out.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that I've really dove into audio this year, really learning about it. I've become obsessed. I'm not an expert, but like I'm really want to learn so much more on it. I've been taking like random online courses and stuff, and all the YouTube videos I've been watching. But audio is so important. And if anyone's want to step up their game, audio first.
Yeah.
Go audio first. Because if you have great audio next to an iPhone, then we're talking a little different.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine, let's say you know how to edit, you got a good mic, you got not just a good mic, but you understand audio, mic placements, and how to edit it and process it. And then you got an iPhone. Like, that's a different story.
Right.
That's a tool in a professional's hands. So that's where I think that's different than the person with the iPhone, because you're not hiring the gear, you're hiring the person.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Whether they show up with an iPhone or not, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but
right. That's kind of what I was thinking. It wouldn't be so funny to just show up to a client and you're just shooting on an iPhone. They'd be like, how serious would they take you?
I've heard of that. Actually, one of the clients that hired me, when I came in to do an interview, they said the last person they had came in with a tripod and a phone mount and shot the whole interview on his phone. And
well, I mean, I guess if you have, like you said, like if you have good audio, your
no
lighting
audio.
is good. No audio?
No, because I asked that. I said, oh, did he even have like, you guys mic'd up at all? And they said, no. I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
This is kind of, I mean, to be doing that as you sold these people to hire you for this, and that's what you showed up with. That, to me, that's a little, I don't know what to say, like ignorant. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah. Maybe I don't know the whole story. Maybe that guy did something else, and they were asking if maybe he was a photographer, and they were begging him to do a video, and he did it. Which if all I had was that, I'd be like, no, I'm not capable.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Refer you to someone that can. I don't know, because you're hurting everyone in that situation. Yourself, because you're not going to have a great video. Them, because they're going to get a bad video. They're losing money on that person. But
well, I guess another thing to this too is like not necessarily like in the professional world, but like the like just the everyday person, like especially with the editing software like the phones have, like the Pixel has the was that the Magic Eraser?
Magic Eraser, yeah.
It's
pretty neat. It works really well. I mean, it's no different if any experienced photographer out there is not. It's nothing new that you've not done on Photoshop,
right. Yeah,
but I didn't really care for it. But when I started playing with it here and there, I really haven't had the use for it. I'm not like taking photos all the time.
Yeah,
public. But it is really nice to have that convenience of it just in the phone right there.
Yeah, and I think I saw a couple of reviews where like they were using it and they were using the Magic Eraser a little bit, but it definitely has its limits. Like you can't have like a whole, it depends on like what's in front of you or where it makes things look really weird.
It's convenient, but like it is not a replacement for Photoshop.
Oh yeah.
At all. It's fun to use. Like I take a picture of my dog and he's on the leash. Usually does a good job like removing the leash to make it look like he's right there. That's from my experience using it for that way. I'm trying to think what else I've used it on. I've never had any it's not like I'm out taking selfies all the time with people in the background I want to get rid of or anything like that.
Yeah.
Not like I'm vacationing anywhere yet with it. I've only had it for like 2 months at this point, but
well, actually, now that I come to think of it, I never really take photos on my iPhone and post them like on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Like my Instagram is always photos I take with my
'cause you're a professional.
6D. Right. And I just every time even on my phone, I have an album just called Edited, and it's just all the photos are from my professional camera.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I shoot it on the phone, it looks cool on the phone, but like puts into social media. It just doesn't look
No,
that
and
well.
that's where I think there's you understand
Mm-hmm.
what the capabilities are of your phone and then the other gear that you own,
Right.
And I think phones, you know, clearly they've replaced the point and shoot market.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, was the point and shoot market professional?
Yeah. Right. No.
They're
Yeah.
still, I mean, they're great. They're way better than point and shoot cameras were,
Yeah.
10 years ago or so. Definitely amazing. But there was a talk I've always heard of, like, our phones taking work away from us, or the phones taking work. I mean, like, I think we talked about on the podcast here. Was that on the podcast or off camera about real estate? About
I think it was off camera.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna talk about it again anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry if everyone's already heard this, but like, a realtor hired me to shoot some photos and videos, me and Caitlin. So we went and did all that, and he was nice. There was nothing bad or nothing wrong. It was not a bad experience at all. But he later ended up not. He never hired us again for anything, and I think the photos are good. I mean, he liked them and all. But well, he made a post, because I follow his group on Facebook. He made a post about how he had an A6500,
Okay.
and talked about how he was getting rid of that in a gimbal, because he had a gimbal too with it. And he's not a videographer, he's a real estate agent, and he just bought this stuff because he probably watched some YouTube video on, like, how to do it. And he was like, why would I even use this big clunky thing when my phone does it way better or whatever? And he's got rid of it. And he talked about it in did a post about how his phone was way better and there was no need to hire people out because his phone does everything he needs it to do, and
Wow.
didn't need the gear. And I was like, okay, well, your phone, first of all, as a real estate agent, the properties he was doing definitely wasn't worth paying for video, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's one thing, is like, is it worth investing in it? Probably not, into somebody doing that. But he had his own gear. Even then, that was a different story. Like,
Right.
he wasn't even using that. So I think it's just, the phone probably is good for that. Okay, like, for those properties. But did I lose work because of the phone? I don't think so. I think somebody who is going to use their phone anyway is someone who wasn't going to pay much and probably wouldn't pay you worth your time for valuable content anyway. They were probably either not going to do it at all, and the phone is their only option, and that's their excuses to say it's just as good.
Yeah. I mean, that's like with weddings. I know we've both come in contact with that, with, like, upping your prices, but you're like, did I lose because of that? Where,
No, that's a whole topic I'd like to talk about too.
Yeah.
It's like, should you up your prices? What happens when you up your prices? At what point do you should up your prices? But yeah, and
yeah, I was listening to one of Becky and Chris's new podcast episodes, and they were kind of talking about that. I'm not going to touch on it too much, but they were talking about, like, when do you consider yourself a professional? And I think she said one of her uncles said,
whenever you get the newest iPhone, you're a professional.
Exactly.
Depends on what gen of iPhone you have.
But I think she said that, I think it was her uncle that said, once you're being paid for it, you're professional.
Yeah.
Like, so I thought that was interesting.
I think if you're doing it in a professional manner, I think you're professional, no matter what you're shooting on. But, well, maybe I should take that back. But, because, like, it was that real estate agent that didn't hire a photographer to take photos of the house, taking photos on his phone. He's using it for his business. I guess no one's technically paying him for those photos. But, like, is he a professional?
Right.
I don't know. I wouldn't.
Yeah. And I feel like most of the time, like, people do that when they post that kind of stuff. It just never looks good. Like,
No.
For instance, like,
to me, it's like a convenience thing.
It most definitely
You're
is.
taking the trade on quality for convenience.
which, I mean, I guess it depends on how serious you want to sell that. But yeah. But I got asked the other day, this is kind of off topic, but about my Instagram. Like, do I see myself, like, separating my everyday life Instagram versus a professional? And I was like, I did that at one point, but I hated having, like, 2 accounts, and I'm like, I only see myself having a professional account.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Kind of off topic, but
but you still use your professional account using only your camera, not
right,
your phone.
exactly, yeah. So
well, what's wrong with your phone? You got the iPhone,
right, exactly.
What, 13?
Man, the 12 Pro Max.
You just sell your gear. What are you doing? And that's where I do think phones are actually a good thing right now. I think I used to be, like, negative about it, like, oh, everyone's just using their phones, but those people using phones weren't going to hire you anyway.
Oh yeah,
they're not going to hire you for what you're worth, at least. But if they're happy with the phone, they weren't looking for the quality that a professional can provide.
Yeah, I just had a coworker here recently asked me, their neighbor, I believe it was, asked me to come take photos for, I can't remember exactly what it was, but then she was like, actually, she said, never mind, because she's like, she's having her next door neighbor is having her take photos on the iPhone because it has the portrait mode.
Oh,
and I'm just
portrait
like,
mode. Forgot about that.
oh,
Yep,
great.
we're out of work. But I mean, so I get, if I don't want to like downplay it, there's someone out there who like only has the phone and they're wanting to take pictures of their family but can't afford a photographer.
Right. Yeah.
iPhone is great. I mean, that's what's great about it is because you don't need to hire someone for those moments. You just absolutely need some. Or if you're a startup business and you can't afford a photographer or anything like that, and you're just using your phone to take product photos of whatever you're selling, I don't know what, on Etsy and whatnot, literally anything. I don't think anything's wrong with that. I think it's okay if you have to use it as a tool to further yourself as a business, but it's when people start comparing, the justifying to themselves why their phone is better than hiring a professional photographer or videographer, cinematographer, or whatever.
Hey, I'm interrupting this episode to remind you guys that if there's any topics you want to hear us discuss, or you yourself are creative and want to be on our podcast, you can email us at thecreativetalk@absorbproductions.com. We're always looking to expand the topics, and we'd love talking to creatives in any industry, whether it's filmmaking, photography, or if you do anything in the creative field. We'd love to hear from you. The email again is thecreativetalk@absorbproductions.com. Now I'll let you get back to the episode.
Videographer, cinematographer, whatever. Any kind of content. Yeah.
I mean, I think another thing people have to really consider is a phone also does a lot more. Like, it's not just for photos. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I feel like, Samsung, the Google Pixels, iPhones, like that is their main focus. Like photo and video is like where they really make.
Yeah, that's like always the consumer topic is like the photos, like how
It
good the
is,
photos
yeah.
look.
Right.
But how clear do they look? And
Yeah. People just don't understand how like there's a lot of other things that the phone does, whereas in like a camera, professional camera,
are you talking about like people justifying the price of like an expensive phone is not just mean it's an expensive camera too?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
like a $1,500 phone. What's the I don't know, what's the new iPhone go for?
So like the 13 Pro Max, I think because it goes up to a terabyte of storage.
Okay.
And I think it was, I want to say around $1,700.
So let's say that someone buys a $1,600 phone. They could subconsciously thinking that's a $1,600 camera.
Right.
Which, I mean, you both know that's a entry level photographer camera. So like, how good can that camera possibly be with everything else that phone does?
Exactly.
Which is literally everything. So they're great. They are good. But I think most of it's the software is what separates the phones of what they're able to do when you take a photo.
Yeah, that's just like with the iPhones, like we were talking about before we started this, the portrait mode. Like not only in, like iPhone started portrait mode out in photos only, and then here it started with the iPhone 13 where they do the portrait mode in video as well, which it works, but for video wise, the hair is like most of the problem.
I was going to ask about that. I didn't even know that was a thing until you told me that portrait and video. Because I always wondered if they would ever get to that. I guess here we are.
Which, don't get me wrong, it looks really good, like just right off the bat. But yeah, like you said, like once you really start digging a little bit deeper, pixel peeping and looking at the hair.
I would love to see that because like my Samsung Galaxies I've always had. The portrait mode on those were very hit and miss. Very hit and miss. And portrait mode is usually way softer.
Than just shooting at, most definitely.
Whatever normal mode. But hair always is like the biggest thing. Hair, like knowing where to like start that fall off in the focus and the bokeh, and that would always. I don't know. It seemed like I don't think it was ever maybe once or twice that ever hit right was portrait mode. So because of that, I just ended up never using it.
Right.
But I always thought in video it'd probably be atrocious because it's moving. You'd see it.
Yeah, going from person to person, like it's just like. What is going on
so
here?
Actually, I don't know. My Pixel 6, I'll look at it right now, but Pixel 6. Got the white. I don't think it has. I have portrait mode, but I don't think I can do it in video. I think it's an iPhone only. Is it an iPhone only?
I think so. I don't know of any other phone that actually has portrait mode in video.
No.
But
yeah,
that's why I'm really excited about the iPhone 14 is because I mean, companies always say like, "Oh, the next phone is going to be the big
Yeah,
upgrade,"
it always
which
is. Especially,
yeah, all
but
the
I'll tell you
time.
what I learned with this, and even just photo mode, is the zoom lens on this. The zoom lens is so good where I don't even use the portrait mode to blur the background out. I use the compression from the zoom
Yeah,
because you don't have that software artifacting that could potentially happen.
yeah,
And I end up using that way better, and I can use the zoom lens in video too. So I'm sure you got zoom on that iPhone, right?
yeah,
On
and
the,
then it depends on like what you're. It really just comes back to what you're shooting, really. So where
I mean,
just
yeah,
like
the zoom lens on the Pixel is definitely none of the lenses, the wide angle either, are even close to the quality of the main camera. The
oh
normal
yeah,
ones,
definitely not. No,
But
for sure not.
if you really
Yeah.
want that blurred background, using the telephoto lens on it, I think looks way better on the Pixel 6. At least I can speak for than just using the portrait mode.
Yeah.
Because the portrait mode
Yep.
uses the AI blurring of the background and stuff, which to people I think is that's just knocked my cable off my mic, but the portrait mode, the blurry background, the people like that, they associate that with so much professionalism. Like that makes it look so high quality, which is just an amateur eye, I think.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, for portraits, and you really need to blur the background out. I don't know. What do you do? Are you doing like actual professional headshots? I guess influencers on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yep.
I guess, and I guess if your whole career is based on Instagram or social media, the phone just makes sense, because it's right there. It's connected all the time and do all that. But I don't
Which man, wouldn't that be cool to have like be paid by like a company or Instagram just to go take photos or something? Like
know. That would be.
But yeah, talking about like the AI as far as like editing, and this isn't even in the phone, but like that software that I told you that I bought was a
It was asked, what's it called?
Skylum Luminar, and basically it's Photoshop with a couple clicks, and that's it.
So I've heard of this. I've not seen it. Have you played with it yet?
A little bit, and then but yeah, it mainly with the sky replacement, it does an amazing job.
And
Like-
how much does this cost, the software?
I think I paid $67 for it. Well, I take that back. It was on sale. It was like back in closer to Christmas time. But
So everybody's got an iPhone and $67 they can edit like us.
Right.
Well, we're out of the job. That's it.
Yep.
End of the episode, guys.
and the thing that's like crazy about the Skylum software is because I tried one with trees, and it even replaced like where you could see through the tree, the
Like
sky
the-
through the
yeah,
tree.
yeah, yeah.
Like I'm just like,
So I've not
What the
dabbled
heck?
too much in that. Caitlin is huge. I'd love to ask her about that. She's huge on sky replacements. Like she does it a lot all the time.
Yeah.
She does go in the leaves, but Photoshop has I don't know what the tool's called, but we cut the sky out.
Yeah.
The AI and that's pretty good at even knowing where to
Oh,
cut it
yeah,
out.
yeah.
So this, you're
Yeah.
saying you don't even have to go in and it just
No.
knows what
Yeah,
the sky is right
yep.
away. Mm-hmm. That's wicked.
yeah, which is crazy. Like now that Photoshop has the new updated version of like being able to just select something so easy. Like before, you had to go and outline it like every little piece.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you just do like I don't remember the tool in Photoshop, but you could just draw like a circle around it, and then it automatically knows.
Yeah.
Like a person, it'll automatically
So
like outline the person.
That reminds me of the magic eraser,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
wicked. If instead of like going through and individually removing tiny things, if you circle
Mm-hmm.
a person, or an object, it's pretty good at knowing what it is you're trying to take out. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually mind blowing how it knows sometimes, but it's a matter of how well it actually takes it out. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's really hit and miss, but you could zoom in really close, and magic eraser is amazing for blemishes and stuff. Literally just zoom in, and
Really?
dab it, and it's gone. Like that. The simplicity of that is amazing.
and
How-
that's built into the camera.
Yeah.
Or like the camera app, I should say.
yeah,
Like the-
yeah. It's built. It's it's a what's the word? Stock software.
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
It's and like like taking a picture of my dog on the floor, and like
Mm-hmm.
he has some like cotton toys, just whatever, like a mess. That worked really well to like remove those and stuff. Like remove a little bit of clutter around his toys
Yeah.
and stuff. Photo him. Those you know what I think about it? I've been using Magic Eraser a little bit.
Have you?
It's
Okay, yeah.
fun to play with too, to see what you can remove, but
Mm-hmm.
I've never like counted on it. Like, oh, I'm going to use this. I'll take a photo and remove this when, like take a photo and go, oh, I'll just use Magic Eraser to remove that. It's like after the fact, like seeing what I can remove from it. But
Yeah, I kind of wish I kind of wish that Apple had that a little bit. I kind of do and I kind of don't.
I bet they will.
Yeah, right. And it's so funny that like Apple is just like not everything, but like Apple changes something in their iPhones and then everybody like goes towards that.
Well, it's
like,
it's how tech goes. Somebody will do
Right.
something innovative, and then
Yep.
literally everyone will do that. The first thing that comes to mind is Rode Wireless. The Rode Wireless Go, because I remember when that came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like awesome, and then it wasn't that awesome for me when I bought it. Anyways, another story, another time. But like everyone else started coming out with all these cheaper wireless setups and even DJI. It's just funny.
DJI
It's just
came
funny,
out.
like
Yeah.
innovative stuff that happens.
Mhm.
I mean, the multiple cameras. I think iPhone did that first, right?
yeah,
iPhone
I
did
think so.
multiple-
Mhm.
and literally every
Yep.
camera now has multiple lenses on it, and like
Mhm.
everyone just innovative things happen. Everybody follows.
Right.
But so is AI. Do you think they'll have AI? I'm sure it exists somewhere in some form. AI video editing for phone.
Oh,
Technically, like DJI does it on the phones, like with their like I got the Osmo Pocket.
Mhm.
Like you record an Osmo Pocket, there's like preset edits where it'll plug in stuff and
Really?
like cue it to music.
I guess
and
I didn't
stuff.
know that.
Yep.
Really?
So like that, I guess technically is a thing. But
Well, I guess you could look at TikTok like that.
yeah,
Essentially, I mean,
Mhm.
especially now that they have a 3-minute record limit. So
that's another topic too. Is like our businesses. TikTok is a powerful place for certain businesses. It makes
Yeah.
sense to sell
Oh, yeah.
stuff and all that. Are they just using their phone on TikTok and selling that way instead of hiring out? Do people like us? And I say people like us. I should clarify us as like we are content creators, but we're also marketing it.
Yeah.
So we strategize here at Absorb. We strategize type of content where it needs to go, and who it's going towards,
Mhm.
and then create that content based on that.
yeah.
So like because of that element itself, I think are different than just someone who's hired just to make videos.
Mhm.
Maybe you're in LA,
You guys are
you're
all
just
in
hired.
one,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So like there's content strategy involved.
Mhm.
That's basically the main thing we do. We
Right.
just solve problems with video and other sorts of media content. But the person who's getting hired as I don't want to say DP because surely DPs aren't losing jobs because
Right,
of phones right
yeah.
now. But
Yeah, definitely not.
videographer,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
generic. I don't want to say generic to like downplay anybody who is a videographer, but the videographer is the standard videographer losing work because of phones and AI and stuff like that and TikTok. I don't know.
Yeah, it's.
I
I
don't-
mean, yeah, for like TikTok wise, like there's because of that 3-minute record limit now. I mean, like there's so much that could be done with that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a huge place to attack content. But
Mhm.
but here's the thing too. I think what people need to start thinking about is when you're talking about everyone using phones and that's convenient. Well, because majority of people think that,
Mhm.
if you hire a professional or even just learn yourself like to not use your phone and use some quality cameras, learn how to use them,
Right.
you're going to stand out.
Yeah.
You're going to look different no matter what.
Mhm.
Like you're going to stand out. The phones. And people won't. I don't think no one's gonna look at your video and go, "Oh, that." Well, me and you do, but
Mhm.
like people are gonna look at that and go, "Oh, that was shot on the phone," or "They didn't use a
Right.
phone for this." But I mean, honestly, sometimes I can't tell.
Right,
Sometimes,
yeah.
sometimes it's like I
Yeah.
don't know, but it could be like a low end. Anyways, but I totally forgot my point.
Well, so like TikTok too, like their whole thing is wanting people to use the camera on the phone. Like
Yeah.
they don't want people to film something like we are and put that on TikTok, even if it's meant for TikTok. But I think most of the not necessarily photographers, but most of the videographers and filmmakers that I follow on TikTok, for sure know that they are, they're recording something like with the professional cameras.
Yes, yeah.
You definitely
So
know.
yeah, so you're talking about like videographers themselves using TikTok for their own. That's smart, and I think it's
Right.
a good place to start. And that's a whole nother thing I could talk about. Is just I think people in this field need to just keep creating content no matter what.
Right,
Keep learning.
yeah.
That's how I learned everything. But yeah, I think businesses using TikTok and stuff like that. Let's say like a business is starting like, oh, I don't know, they sell. I'm trying to think of what's a good business you could use TikTok for. Literally anything. Let's say you're a cake bake shop or something. You
so
bake
if you're
cakes
selling anything,
and you're on Instagram taking photos of your cakes and stuff, but like someone who recognizes to use the internet to advertise themselves and connect to people. I think you're already starting to become aware of people like us who create. You know, the more we've been talking, I think we're talking about like content creation and the fact of advertising, which is that's all I know really.
Right.
But, creating people who normally, I think typical videographer jobs are, it's advertising work. You're doing something to help a client make money, so help them advertise.
Yeah.
So if a company out there, cake bake shop, is like, oh, we better get on Instagram, we better get on TikTok, we better start making stuff just to get out there and see who we can reach or to grow. They're becoming aware of content creation. They start stepping into it and maybe see that it's hard, or see that their stuff isn't looking as good, or think they start creating content like, okay, I want to take this to a next level. They're going to look for people like us, I think. So that's where I think these small business, I say small, most likely small business, is using phones because they start knowing I think people are using their phones. I'm trying to get to my point here. People are using their phones, slowly finding out to themselves that they need content creators like us. And I think, and I really see the world going this way, businesses need the world of like hiring a marketing agency now is almost changing to where companies are needing that in-house. It's almost like a department that is just
because they're always wanting to. Because you always have something
you need. Like it's almost any business nowadays. You ever start a business, like how can you start a business and not think about your online presence and how you look? So I think that mindset, when people are using their phones, is actually them becoming subconsciously aware of the content they need, and maybe eventually get to the point that they need to hire somebody out.
Yeah, because I don't think editing software like AI inside the phones definitely will never be as good as like editing something like on Premiere.
Maybe it makes people aware to like they can see what you can do, because like I feel like someone hires me for a video, I shoot it, they have no idea that like what goes into color grading or audio or like cropping in and stuff, and just the little things when it comes to editing. Like it's not just cutting, render out.
Right.
So I think when people start trying it themselves, they see all the things you can do, and then maybe they might notice what you did. They'll never be able to replicate it unless they really pursue it and learn. But I think people become way more aware of what we're doing. But yeah, so I think in the end, phones are not going to.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. I would love to hear from anyone else out there if they think phones are, or if you ever felt like you lost a job because they were able to do it on their phone, or they did it on their phone. I don't think that if no money was involved, or let's say they had to pay for that phone photo and they would pick you no matter what.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to they didn't have the money and they got the phone, and they made that call to not the quality loss. No matter what, there's quality loss, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then they
for
use their
sure.
phone. And maybe they couldn't that's so specific, but I don't know. I just don't. I feel totally different. Like I pulled a 180 like last year. I used to be worried about phones and weddings and stuff, and like even just family portraits and things like that. I'm like, oh, everyone's just doing these things on their phones. And then when I actually got asked that question this year about so what is it, or what's stopping me from just pulling my phone out and filming and making this video? What is anyways.
It's like, okay, how much time do you have?
Yeah. That person, by the way, I do want to give context. That person was not the person that was hiring us.
Oh, okay.
We were hired by their boss, and they were kind of coming in under and just questioning us. But anyways.
Well, something else too, it's like how crazy it is to fake something today. Like with like Photoshop, for instance, like I tell my my partner, I always tell her, I'm like, Photoshop is such a beast. Like it's insane. Like you could do so much. Like it really makes me want to like take courses and like learn different. Where it's, I've watched Caitlin literally swap faces. Yeah, that's what I would love to like watch her do that like sometime, because I'm just like, I know Photoshop, but like I'm not super deep into it.
Lightroom's been my thing for editing, but there's restrictions obviously.
Oh yeah.
Photoshop.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you think phones will ever get to a point where they're capable as much as Photoshop is?
I don't think so.
I think at that point you got a pretty powerful laptop.
Yeah.
I would think. Yeah. I don't think some of the things in Photoshop you could even do on a touchscreen be frustrating. Like how would they make that UI? That's something we should have Caitlin on to talk about. But like, how would you make that UI feasible on a phone to be able to like.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
because,
know.
one, you're working with such a small screen,
Yeah.
too. It's like, and there's just,
I think you would
like-
need a mouse.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, like, there's, so in Photoshop now, I think it was with the newest update, maybe it'd been the last one, I don't remember, but where you could take like a summer photo and have that slider that makes it look winter.
I've seen that.
I'm just like, what?
I've not tried. Have you tried that?
Yeah, I took. I don't remember where. I think it was in South Carolina one year, and it was dead in the middle of the summer, and I moved that slider, and it looked legit.
Because
like,
the photos I've seen, the before and afters, I was like, no way. Like that's
and
really
a freaking
hardcore
slider?
Photoshop, or those photos were taken 2 times a year.
right?
Yeah, what I had seen was wicked, and it looked that good.
It looked really good.
Oh my gosh.
Like there were some spots that you could tell, but because it's not perfect. But
I wonder if video will get that.
I don't know, man.
Can you do anything like that on phones?
I don't think so. I don't know if there's like a third party app that does anything like that, but I don't think so. Yeah, it's almost kind of scary. Like I don't think it's.
I've seen software that can make fake photos like from nothing.
Right,
Just, like,
yeah,
it's
most
all
definitely.
like rendered and it looks so hyper realistic. And
Yeah, and that's like something I kind of want to get into, like with Photoshop, is learn more about that. But man, I tell you what, like
compositing.
Yeah.
Composite photos are so cool.
It's-
I keep starting to like tutorials and try something. I just give up. But
yeah, because it takes a long time, and then 2, for Photoshop, your computer's got to be a beast. Because if you have layers on layers on layers,
which I never thought so. Like, I mean, I got a decent PC for editing, but then watching Caitlin do some photos and some of her layers and her render times, her file sizes are massive.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
she's
they're
shooting on
huge.
the A7R3, which is what is that, like 48 megapixels? I can't really remember. It might be 42.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then like raw, and she's doing multiple layers of that stuff. Like, so what's it called? Bracketing, where you expose for the sky, take a photo, and then like expose for the person or landscape, and you like cut them together.
yeah,
Like that. You can do that in phones, can't you?
yes, I believe
Yeah,
you
maybe
can.
they call
Yeah,
it. I think they just call
so.
it HDR
Yeah.
or something. Actually, curious to see what photo modes are in the Pixel. I'm still dabbling in this and working on a video review. So the night that I'm looking at now, the night mode, the night shots are wicked for a phone.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Like
like
all it's doing is the long exposure, but there's definitely software in that, because I'm sure you guys,
Oh, yeah.
out
Like
there, if you've messed with taking a long exposure shot, doing that freehand is like impossible.
Oh, it is, most
It's basically
definitely.
impossible.
yeah,
The
that is
phone,
definitely.
it'll do like a 3-4 second hold when I take it, and it's like a little loading bar, like it's holding the shutter open, and it puts on the Pixel, put these crosshairs in a circle, and you just keep the crosshairs in that circle, and you can see your micro jitters, But once it comes out of that, like if you keep that pretty still, the software that it pieces together, I don't know how, because I know there's going to be some micro blur in there, and it is a little soft, but it is like a really clean low light photo, really clean. Like I know if I held my camera up
Right.
and held a 4-second shutter,
Oh gosh, yeah.
it would not
would
turn
definitely
out.
not.
But my phone, my mic there, but my phone can do that. So in that case, the phone for me, I probably the phone would probably work better than if I didn't have a tripod.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, it's wicked what the low light can do on that.
Yeah, and I've never tried doing something like that with water, like with waterfall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've
on
never-
like a phone,
Yeah,
or
on a phone. Yeah.
I don't know.
I've never tried that.
Not done that.
Huh.
That's the first one I've had that feature on. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, my Galaxies had that, but they were not as good. Like you would take it and it would take a long time. It would just go, and you could tell it was saving, but
Yep.
like it wouldn't tell you that it was doing like this. Actually, when you take the night photo, it shows a moon, it shows the crosshairs, like keep it here, don't move the camera too much. If you do go outside of that, it does get blurry. But I'm still amazed at how sharp those low light photos are on that.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I know, like with the iPhone 12, I think that was like Apple's first phone that did low light very well. Like, and then with the 13, they upped it, and then with the 14, like, phones are just, man, every year it's hard to stay up with them.
Why do we call them phones anymore?
I know.
Like literally, they basically are, because the first thing you see in a phone commercial that they advertise is the camera.
Yep.
Like eventually we can call them cameras.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
Smart cameras.
I mean, as long
Smart cameras.
right. as long as it calls and takes photos and video, I feel like that's all people care
It's
about.
so weird. Like these two things, like to think as humans evolution, like the telephone and the camera. Like think about the very first, like, the thing over the crank and think about that as the camera, and then the very first telephone. Do you think they ever would have imagined that these would be the two inventions combined?
If you would bring that person that when the telephone was first invented to today, I think they would just
like, that's not
they might die just from all the like
that's not a phone.
What is this thing?
That's not a phone. It's wicked. It's weird that like the camera, like us as humans like value just sentimental things, and just to put a camera on the one thing we always have on us.
Well, it actually kind of goes back. Who was I talking to?
I think it looks cool.
I don't remember, but I was talking about how spoiled we are in today's age. Like,
yeah,
it's insane.
So, I put all my money into a video editing PC. I want a laptop, but I don't want to spend the money on a laptop. I mean, they're way better now. Like, to spend, every time I look at like buying a laptop, you pay that convenience price of it being portable. I was like, I'll just upgrade my PC. Yeah. So I literally got a phone holder, and I got this Bluetooth keyboard that I can switch between like, multiple devices. I will switch to my phone and write my scripts and notes and emails with my phone, like anywhere. I can bring I want to get one of these little, they're mini keyboards, and literally you can just use I even hook my mouse up to it, and I can search like Google Chrome and stuff on my phone. Like it's a mini laptop.
Yeah, that's kind of what I run into. I'm like, my MacBook Pro is like the 2015 version, 2016 version, and it's like it barely handles Lightroom anymore. So I'm like,
really?
Yeah, and I'm like, I need to, because I don't always want to stand at the desk or sit at the desk, and so I'm like, but my problem is like when I get a new computer or even phone, like I want to spec it out. Because, I mean,
the fear of missing out or wishing you upgraded.
Yeah. That's my number one thing.
The benefit of building a PC.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because everything's custom. But yeah, with anything. That's why I went with I almost got the regular Google Pixel 6. But I can't remember the refresh rate was different. And then the zoom lens, I think I'm pretty sure it's the only thing. I mean, physically, they looked a little different. But yeah, I was like, oh, I know I'm going to regret that because I'm not somebody who buys phones every year,
Yeah, I don't typically, like when I got the 12 Pro Max before I had that, I had the iPhone 10. So I skip a year because like really it's not, I don't know. But another thing I kind of want to touch on is I remember when I was going to be hired for a wedding to take photos, and they decided to just go with one of their friends that were going to go with the phone.
No way.
And that person showed me the photos. And another problem I have with that is every photo they showed me was live mode. What? I honestly
live mode
hate it. So live mode on iPhones are you can long press the photo, and it'll show like, oh gosh, I don't know, it's like 3-4 second like little video almost.
And you can pull a frame from it as a photo.
Right? I don't know if
my Galaxy did that, and this does it too. You can do. I think it is called live mode.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Maybe you can do that.
Well, that's what it'll do, like a burst.
Yeah.
But you can scrub through it and pick a photo, which is cool for like action and stuff.
But
they did the whole wedding in that?
Yeah, which I did not like.
That's so odd.
Because none of them looked as good as when you would just take one photo.
That's weird. That's odd.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean...
So...
every time I get an iPhone now, I shut that off. Because I'm like, I don't want that.
Oh, see, it's like an auto thing is on?
Yeah.
So it's like a whole mode on the Pixel to turn it on. Like switch over to. So I will admit, for like my company and our social media and online presence is like, me and Caitlin, both our phones, we use a lot for behind the scenes stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because usually we're using our cameras, we need to grab like a
Definitely.
behind the scene thing. So I do that. We do that a lot now, especially honestly, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to get a new phone is because we started using our phones a lot for just behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
and taking
for that, I think
photos and stuff for just posting or just sharing, amongst ourselves. So I thought, well, it'd be awesome to get at least a good quality photo camera to like take these, set photos and post them and stuff like that instead of going to get the whole camera. Then you got to take another SD card. Like there is the convenience thing of that, but I'm not being hired to do this literally for myself. I do want to ask you this. Have you ever, and I've always tell myself when to do this, I did when I got this phone, I don't do it. Like take a raw photo on your phone, which that's another thing too. Phones can do, take raw photos.
Yeah.
Raw photo on your phone and then move it to your computer and edit it. Or does that seem backwards when you got an actual photo camera? Like if I'm going to do that, I'm just going to pull my camera out.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my mindset. I don't think I actually ever have taken a photo on my iPhone because I'm always scared of like, well, how good is it actually? Like it looks good on the phone, but once I put it up on the screen, it's like
it's a little different.
Is it really going to look that good?
Yeah.
So yeah, most of the time, like I mean, most of like, I wish I could say that like most of my like photo album thing on my phone is like just full of like all of my good photos that I take, but like most of it's just like videos I've saved and stuff like that. But I've never done that. Now I have edited. I took a picture on the phone and then edited through the Lightroom mobile app. I have done that. But
I do that a lot too. Snapseed and I actually really like Pixel's built-in stuff on there to edit it.
Oh, really? Okay.
It even has like an auto thing on it too, which is okay. But and yeah, I always wondered that. That's why I was asking. Like, I always thought it'd be cool to like, cause computer software, I can tell a huge difference.
Oh
in,
yeah.
Like anybody editing on their phone has never edited on a computer.
Definitely
does not know what there's some. I mean, like curve. Imagine the curves like on a phone. Like bringing down the blacks and stuff, how much it really just kind of pulls.
Yeah.
You can tell like it's kind of just pulling everything in the blacks, but like you can really pinpoint on a computer like what you want to do. That's what I always wanted to try. Maybe we'll do that in a video.
Yeah. I guess another thing too is filters.
Filters?
Yeah. On phones, like when people are just like, oh yeah, that looks good, I'll post it. Like, like I'm not gonna mention any names, but I know we've talked about before how like
people putting filters over your photos.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's such a huge like.
If anyone others listening, I mean, if you're gonna do it, probably don't do it publicly.
Yeah.
If you're gonna put filters over your photographers,
make sure you don't follow them.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's kind of what's a comparison to that? Like, go back to the cake bake shop. You hire a cake bake to make you a cake, and they specifically make everything the way that you ask for, and they do it. It's their art, and then you just go over the whole thing with your own icing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, why'd you even pay them to do that? They put so much time into it, and
because then it makes then obviously that quality has went down. So then it makes if people know that was you, then
they tag you in it, and it's like that's not how I edit it. Don't tag me in that. Yeah,
I hate it so much.
Yeah. That happened to me a couple times, but it's an awkward situation because you don't know what to say. You don't know what to say to them without being rude, or like if they tag you, like please don't tag me in that.
Yeah.
Then it sounds like you're insulting them when they insulted you. And
right.
It's a whole thing.
Another one of those things too is like if you're doing it professionally, do you put something in your contract that says, hey, if
that the photos can't be altered?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Is that what you guys do? Kind of.
It depends job to job, but you can do that. People are worried about that. Yeah, I would put it in the contract to just because most likely they read it in the hopefully they read the contract, they'll see that and know like, oh, okay, I know not to do that and not do it. But I don't know, but yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, really.
Just if you're gonna do it, don't post it.
Yeah, it's
even if it looks good, it may look that good. It may look good. Like I've seen people put filters over some of my photos and like, oh, like. I guess it looks okay, but that's not what I wanted. Yeah. That's not what the look we were going for. But,
exactly.
Yeah.
So in all, like our, the AI software and people with phones and how good they are. So all in all, are they taking over?
I think they're taking over, but not in the way we think.
Exactly.
I think they're taking over. They are definitely taking over a lot of an area that I think. I don't think it's actually taking over an area. I think it's creating a new area. For people in between. I think it's a place for people to be creative and create things for themselves. But when it comes to like the business side of it, I think it's a tool for people to use that can't afford professionals. I think it's going to be helpful to them. And I don't know if they'll ever get to the point where like either way, as a business owner, it's taking the time to work AI, still time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like no matter how hard it is or easy. I mean, I'm thinking about like my a retail job, Lowe's or something. Like personally, I worked like being asked to go get carts or go move this or whatever. That's an easy job. Someone's hiring you because they don't want to use their time.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's always an aspect in the business outlook of it. But if someone's going to hire you to go use AI or whatever, or they could be tools for us to make our lives easier.
Right.
But I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of like letting go of control in that way.
Right.
But,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think anybody out there in the creative world making money as a business has anything to worry about.
Yeah.
I think if anything, it's raising awareness. And that person, I'll say it again, that's hiring their own phone over you wasn't going to hire you anyway.
They weren't going to meet that price that you're
No. Either they're in a position where they don't need to be spending the money on a professional and that phone does make more sense, or they just have no idea what they're doing at all with their business, or I don't know.
Right.
But yeah.
All right. Well, I think that one about wraps it up.
All right. Yeah. That was a fun one. Talking about phones.
Definitely.
Phones taking over. The battle continues. But I still think our FX6 and 6K Pros and Blackmagics and Sony cameras are winning. But
maybe talk to us in another 2-3 years.
Yeah. Or who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
And the next iPhone in like 3 months, next month, whatever.
What I'm excited about, the 14 or who knows? Yeah.
Whatever. The iPhone cinema camera.
Gosh.
Alrighty. Well, we will see you guys here or listen. You guys will listen to us. I want to say see you guys in the next one, but I guess if you're not watching, you will hear us in your ear holes in the next one.
All right. See you guys later.
Start waving at the end of this now.
Yep.
Wave.